First off, I want to say really proud of our men this past weekend for the way they played on all three phases. Thought it was probably one of our more consistent games on all three phases together against a very really good football team. We've got to give Southern Miss a lot of credit. They're good on all three phases, and it was definitely a dogfight. And we knew going into that game it was going to be a battle. But really excited about the way our men finished off the game. I think defensively we played well all night long. Everybody was on the same page and making sure they did their job, making routine plays. And offensively, we knew it was going to be a battle. They're very physical, and they got a really good defense. But the way our men finished off really the second half, our last four drives, we got points and put a lot of points on the board. I think we scored 3 out of the last 4 drives, and defensive again came along and shut them out and made some big-time plays for us to extend that lead. Special teams has been consistent and solid, and it was the same this past weekend. So again, it was a very good win for us against a quality opponent, and we're excited about that. The best thing I would say about the whole thing is, coming back as well as I thought we played overall as a team, just watching it on tape, you see all the improvements we still need to continue to make, and the improvements that our guys are excited to go back out there on the practice field and continue to grow, continue to get a week better, and that's exactly what we're going to have to do. We know exactly what we're getting into this week. UAB is a veteran team that prides themselves on being physical. Offensively, they're running the football very well, and then which causes problems because obviously, you're running the ball as well as they are, and you start hitting those play action shots and some of those explosive plays, it can be very challenging. And it all starts up front with them on both sides of the ball, offensive and defensive line. Defensively, I think they're top defense again in Conference USA. They're very physical. They have a lot of returning starters, so they're very experienced, and they're playing with a lot of confidence, on all three phases. They're a very good football team. Again, we understand we're coming in on their homecoming. We're going to get their best shot. And, I know it's going to be another great challenge for us this week, but I know our guys are excited about the opportunity to go on the road and play a really good opponent. But that'll open it up.
They've had 3 impressive results in conference play, and like you said, you're going on the road against them. Just what have you seen as far as in their first 3 games, just with the success that they've had so far?
They continue to battle. It's a team that they get in dogfights and they don't ever back down. They handle the pressure very well, and they're very physical. Again, they do a great job, controlling the clock, running the football, and making sure that they're physical up front, and those backs, they're going to find creases, and eventually, they're going to say you're either going to misfit or they're going to break a tackle, and they're going to hit an explosive play, and again, then they're going to come out with some of their play action passes, and they're doing a great job there defensively. Up front, to me that's the strength of their defense. I think they're big, they're strong, they're physical, and they try to control the line of scrimmage and let those backers run and hit. And in the secondary, again, those safeties are going to play low with some different sets, and they're physical as they come down, and they tackle very well. So again, I think overall they're very, you can tell they're very sound in what they do. They're well coached, and they're playing with a lot of confidence. Again, it's very similar to us. Another year in our system with a lot of returning starters who have that experience. I think that it's a veteran team that playing at a high level.
They have 23 sacks on the year. Do you see a similarity between their defensive front and Louisiana Tech's and Southern Miss's that you've already gone into?
Yeah, it's amazing, and that's as coaches, you talk to different coaches throughout the year that and in different conferences, and that's something that we know we're going to face week in and week out. There's really good guys up front and D lines, and it always seems like there's every team has at least 1 to 2 guys that can hurt you, and so I'm very impressed with the talent there is in this conference up front, and again, it's going to continue to be that way for the rest of the season.
Is there an update on Keemon Hall going into this week?
Yeah, still week to week, but I feel, I feel pretty good. He's kind of getting back to doing some different things, so we'll just kind of see how it responds. But we're much further along this week than we were this past.
Torrey had a really good game this past week, 3 touchdowns. Is he still going to be a part of a running back by committee, or is he going to get the bulk of the touches?
That group, I've said, I'm very excited about that group, but, this past week he did. He ran the ball very hard. He was physical, which is something that we've really had to stress, and just understanding that there's going to be free hitters, and at times you're going to have to run through tackles and make contested runs, and they're not going to all be clean and wide open to where you hit it. It's going to be just that big old field you're seeing out there to where you can run. I mean, you're going to have to make plays as running backs, and I thought he did a great job with that the other night. Again, he had some very physical runs, and some there down the goal line to where he's running through guys and getting an extra 4 yards to score touchdowns. And so that's what we have to continue to have, and we're going to have to make competitive plays on all areas. Again, that's a physical game like that's going to be crucial for those running backs. So, I thought he did a great job, and as of right now, I would think he'll be a big part of our plan this week.
You had a pretty big sack taken away by an unsportsmanlike conduct.
Yep.
Choreographed celebration. Have you talked to your players about that?
Yeah, absolutely. We talked about that. There were some penalties on it. Some penalties on our end too on Sunday. So hopefully, again, what's disappointing is we've stressed it, and that came from one of our team leaders, one of our captains, and it's something that's there's no need for it. I mean, it's you got to respect the game, and as soon as you start getting that ego involved, and you lose some of that humility, then it's going to get you beat. And again, we've seen how it can get us beat already once this year. And just uncalled for, and we got to be more disciplined than that.
UAB is coming back from not even having a team a couple of years ago. Can you talk a little about the job that Bill Clark has done there, what you've seen in your time in college?
He's a phenomenal coach, and I haven't gotten a chance to get to know him through conference meetings and some different things. He's a really good coach, and you can see really why they are the physical team. He has he's going to coach them hard, and again, he takes great pride in being physical, and you can really see that. He's done a great job of recruiting, and again, has a lot of experienced guys, older guys that there's some grown men on that team. They've developed them very well. When through the transition, they recruited very well and had an opportunity to get them bigger, stronger, and faster in the weight room. And now that a couple years in the system, that they're a good football team.
You've also brought this program a long way in a short time. And you've talked a lot about the key being culture.
Mm-hmm.
What does that exactly entail when you think about culture, what it's meant to this program?
Well, to me, it's believing in your core values and who you are, and making sure that everybody is on the same page with that, and continuing to stress it. And this is how we do things. And I think as long as guys understand who we are, I think that allows them to, you've heard me say it before, pull the rope in the same direction. I think the quicker that guys can do that as a team, and they're not pulling against each other, that's when you start. That's when it's a struggle. When you have, most of the team and coaches pull in one direction, you have 3 or 4 guys pulling in the opposite direction. It bogs you down. It puts too much strain on a program, and so to me, that's the culture we're talking about, and making sure that we continue to stress it every day. We continue to make sure we're great teammates, and we're building great team leaders. And again, to me, leadership, there's a lot of leadership on every team, and not all of it's positive. I mean, you can have negative leaders as well. And so making sure that the culture and the foundation is on, being great teammates and building to very positive team leaders.
You feel like you've come a long way in your time here, and specifically this season, in terms of that?
Yeah, I think so. I think just from day one, I think this team overall has come a long way. Our coaching staff has grown. I've grown. And I think as you're in a program, you kind of iron sharpens iron, and the more you're around these players and these coaches, you're going to grow as long as you embrace it. And again, I'm excited about the growth and where we're at, but I know we still have a lot of work to be done in order for us to accomplish the mission we want to.
In addition to culture, have there been any other key factors that you look at that has helped you guys get to where you've gotten in the last couple of years?
Again, things we talked about. I mean, it's something that we stress every day, and you know, you got to give these players a lot of credit. You can't, you know, having success in culture and then carrying that over to wins and losses isn't always. Just because you have great culture doesn't mean you're going to win football games as well. I mean, it still takes, you know, great players, great coaches, great fan support, administration. There's so many things that go into it. Winning football games. That's why you can't take any of them for granted. I mean, it's a challenge each and every week, and you got to embrace it, and you got to enjoy those victories when they're there, but also understand that you know, there's a fine line between playing really well and not playing very well and getting beat. So
you talk about needing the good coaches. What is your relationship like with Graham and Troy, and just how important is that to have two coordinators that are really on the same page with you and have the same mindset?
Well, not only Troy and Graham, we have a great relationship, but you know, I think overall we have a great relationship with our entire staff. That's something that you know, going into it, you know, being a first-time head coach, never really understanding how it's all going to go down. I mean, you can have a picture in your mind, and this is how I would do things if I was ever a head coach. But you never know how it's going to work out. I'm extremely blessed with this coaching staff, not only because they're great coaches and mentors, but they're great fathers, they're great husbands, they're great men, and they hold me accountable and make me a better person. And you know, it's the relationships they have with each other. There's one thing I can say about the staff I'm proud of is we come to work every day. There's no egos. We're all in this together. You know, we get along great. We hang out together. We do Bible study together. Our families hang out together, our children. So, you know, I'm blessed to have the staff that we do.
In meetings and stuff, do they ever come to you and be like, you know, this we don't think we want to do this, or?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we all. I mean, again, we're all helping each other. Whether it's you know, Troy may bounce an idea about me offensively of what they're trying to do and maybe a scheme, and we're doing the same thing with him. You know, we all have our strengths, you know, and different areas of our expertise in coaching, I guess I should say. And you know, I think it's great when you can when the coordinators are communicating with each other, whether it be me or the coordinators or just, you know, O-line, you know, Coach Yellock, Coach Langston talking about, you know, O-line, D-line play, and that's what we're all here for. We're all here to help each other out and make sure that you know, we're the best football team. And you know, it's, again, there's no egos. We all understand that we don't have all the answers, and you know, we're trying to find the guys in the room that have that expertise and try to find those answers that help us be successful.
At a lot of different places at different levels, there's coaches, head coaches that have that ego issue with the coordinators, but you know, obviously here you don't have that. Is that because you've been a coordinator and kind of know what the other side is as well, or is that just kind of your personality?
I don't know. Yeah, I guess you know, to me, you hire guys to do a job, and you know, probably the hardest position maybe on this staff would be Graham's as the offensive coordinator. But that is where I've learned. I have been an offensive coordinator for offensive head coaches, and you know, I always had great experiences with it. You know, those guys, you know, let me do my job, and always, not that they weren't in there and being a part of it, but you know, when you're calling a game, you got to get in a rhythm and a flow, and when someone's always hitting in your ear, you know, it's not good for anybody. And so, again, I learned a lot of football from the guys I was around, and Graham and I bounce a lot of ideas off each other, and there's maybe some experiences or some paths that I've gone down in the past that I know probably aren't going to be too successful, and I can help him grow in that area, but at the same time, he helps me grow just as much. And so, again, the biggest thing is you hire guys to do their job no matter what role they're in. And my thing is I'm not going to micromanage people. Everybody has a job to do, and let's get that job done.
Seems like a big difference for you guys this year in terms of your performance has been your turnover margin.
Yeah.
Do you see that as an area where you guys have improved, and why do you think you've improved?
Well, I think more consistency of doing their job. Some of those turnovers, it's, it's like offensively, throwing and catching the football. You got to make and finish routine plays. Doesn't take anything special. Defensively is no different with stripping the ball or getting a turnover, using your right leverage. Guys being more consistent of making routine plays, doing their job, getting the right leverage, getting your eyes in the right spot. D-line, getting pressure on the quarterback, timing up our blitzes better, getting pressure on the quarterback. Kyrie stripped the other day. I can't tell you how many times in practice our offensive, our skill guys get so frustrated with those guys because they're, whether it's Skelly, whether it's any type of team setting, the whistle's blown and they're still tugging at the ball. And the same thing that irritates those offensive guys, you saw it in the game right down there. That guy caught the ball and Kyrie's right there and he just strips it from him, takes it away. And what a huge play that was. But that didn't just show up the other night when he was out on the field and, oh, maybe I'll decide to try this now. That happens in practice. It's something that our guys have really focused on. Coming into this season, we knew that we had to do a much better job of owning the football on special teams and offense, but also getting back to getting some turnovers defensively. We didn't do as good a job this past season. And again, I think it all comes back to just making routine plays, doing your job.
So you think it has been a big part of your success?
Oh, absolutely. When you're all right, I'll put it to you this way. The only time this season we've been minus in the turnover battle was the game we lost. So I would say that's pretty important.
Does it help to have a veteran quarterback? I mean, Mason's been so effective with the ball. I think he's only got, one interception on the year at this point.
Yeah.
Is that a big part of it as well, just having a veteran guy that knows how to take care of the ball there?
That's huge. Again, something that we didn't do a great job of this past season offensively, and not just with interceptions, but fumbles. And he's managed the game very well. He understands what our keys to victory are. Our whole entire team understands that the turnover margin is key. I mean, you win the explosive play battle, you win the turnover battle, you're probably going to win the football game. And that's something we've stressed as coaches, we've bought into as coaches and players, and we've worked hard at it. And it's I think because of that, it's gone good so far. We got to make sure we continue to do it.
Mason said after the game that he felt like you guys had some room for improvement.
We have a lot of room for improvement offensively. Yeah.
What do you think you guys need to do to maybe get back to the level you're playing early in the year where you're scoring 40 points a game?
Be more consistent, catch the football, move the chains. IDs. I mean, there's a lot of things that we can do better. Again, I feel like I don't feel like we've hit our full stride offensively. I think we've had quarters, we've had halves, but a complete football game for 4 quarters offensively, I don't think we've come close yet. So, with saying that, it's exciting that we have a lot of room for improvement and that we're going to continue to grow. But there's a certain point it's got to go. I mean, you can't just continue to sit here and say we haven't played our best yet. Eventually, you got to go out there and play our best. And again, we take great pride in our offense and hold each other accountable. But again, at the end of the day, we got to go out there and play better at times.
So is it the little things? Is that what you?
That's the consistency. Again, you've seen it. It's been halves or quarters, or it just hadn't been 4 quarters of consistency. I thought the effort's been good. most of those games for 4 quarters. We've done a lot of good things, but I still think that we have a lot more. And now this past week, defensively was opposite. I think defensively we played our best game this past week, and I thought they've been very solid. Obviously, there's been each and every week there's been different improvements we've had to make, but they've been consistent on getting back and getting better. And again, I'm excited for all 3 phases to come together for one game and play our best. I still don't think we've seen that yet.
Jalen Darden has been one of the more consistent receivers on those offenses here. How have you seen him grow from last year, where he did have a prominent role, to this year where it feels like he's been there?
Probably his understanding of the game. I think he's always been really good on his, route running ability and his great hands. But a lot of times, just kind of when he's out in space, where he's setting, understanding defenses, the different coverages he's getting, and then understanding as well just having more experience within our offense. Different hot routes or just being on the same page with Mason. And it takes time. And I think, we've always been excited about his work ethic and how hard the amount of work he puts into. He wants to be a special player. And he's really grown, and he's continuing to. And, I think he has a very high ceiling. I think he can be a very special player in the future.
He's been good on the road this year. Won a couple of games out there. Why do you think
who's
he has
that?
been good on the road?
Oh, us on the road?
Yeah, he seems like he hasn't played well on the road this year throughout the season.
Well, some of them, and I think that's something that it's a challenge, and the most important thing we talk about, whether it's at home or on the road, whether it's rain, sleet, or shine, we need to show up and be the most excited team to play. And by saying that, we have to create our own energy at times. Different places we've had an opportunity to, even though they weren't cheering for us, we got to feed off that energy of the crowd, even when they're booing. You got to do a great job on the sideline with guys that maybe not are taking as many snaps or any snaps throughout a game. They got a job to do on the sideline of keeping the energy level up, staying positive, and so I think, and some of that, Brett, I think some of it's maturity as well. The more mature you are and understanding that your focus has to be elite every single week in order to win football games, and I think because of that maturity, we've had better success on the road. But again, it's going to take all that and more this next week. Again, you're going on the road against a very good football team for their homecoming. We know without a doubt we're going to get their best. So we're going to have to match that with our best in order to have any kind of success whatsoever.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.